Next up, we have our patron for this year, Dr. John Mattox. Dr. Mattox received his doctorate of pharmacy from the University of Tennessee. He was a veteran of the United States Air Force, loved to fly, was a captain and pilot of the Western Carolina Civil Air Patrol. He owned and operated Swain Drug Store for over 30 years. As a pharmacist, he was always willing to go out in the middle of the night to fill prescriptions for people who needed them. Along with Dr. Mitchell, he served as the only veterinarian in Swain County when there were no other veterinarians living in the county. He's a contributor of videotaping all events in Swain County. He videotaped many Swain County high school events, including athletics and in particular football. He would replay the games in his drugstore for folks who couldn't make the games at no charge to them. He was a major contributor in bringing computer technology into Swain County. Dr. John Mattox, patron and forerunner to the Maroon Devil Network.
Let's again welcome the induction of Dr. John Mattox to the 2014 Athletic Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's awesome. When you say Athletic Hall of Fame, I don't necessarily think of my father. It conjures up Heisman trophies, MVPs. It conjures up the statistics that these young ladies have just shattered the world with. And so when a month or so ago, when I got the call that my father was being inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame at Swain High, I kind of went, really? That's amazing. I don't remember him playing football for Swain High, but hey, rock on, Dad. But as I started to think about it, I thought how much sense it really made. And to those of you who actually knew him, it makes perfect sense. And for the younger crowd that missed that generation and missed my father, I'm going to give you a side of him that these coaches will appreciate. Any athlete, anyone who's ever been an athlete in this room will appreciate beyond the fact that he was a doctor in pharmacy, beyond the fact that he could work a video camera, beyond all the accolades that Gary just described to you and that what's printed in the material. But the word in my household, particularly with me, because I was the one that was always the sportsman, the athlete, if you will, in the family, and the word comes to mind, valor. And I know everybody in this room knows what valor means, but to live it, to eat it, drink it, sleep it, worship it, and bring it to fruition, that was my father. And in my young up-and-coming life of racing professional motorcycles and anything in life, we weren't really politically correct in the Mattox home. It wasn't, you never heard this in our house. It's okay, son, winning's not everything. No, in my household, it was kill, go, destroy, maim, whatever, win at all costs. It was a time when we didn't soften the sport up and do it just for the love of the sport. We did it because why I did it and why these boys right here may never admit to you did it. It was to win, and that's the only reason why we did it. And my dad instilled that in me so deeply about the valor. And short of any military, particularly U.S. military valor that we never get to see, because unfortunately that's classified, there is no higher valor on planet Earth than sports valor. There's nothing will put chill bumps on your spine quicker than watching that winning touchdown at a state championship game in high school. Nothing compared to what these girls did. It competes with sports valor. And why is that important to me? Well, I'm at this current point in my life, I'm trying to instill that into my son, who is very athletic on a national level. And we try and teach in our household that, you know what? Winning is important. But what's really the most important is that you dig deep and you don't lose because you're intimidated by your opponent. That was my father's attitude about everything in life. So now let's come back to why my father's being inducted tonight. The number one reason why I'm here tonight representing him was because my dad, for those of you that didn't know him, was a large man. And he didn't pull out his little iPhone and film you from the bleachers, okay? He lugged a camera on his back that looked like this. And as he did that, he would run the fence. We called them fence runners back in the day. Do we still have fence runners, right? Okay. He would run the fence, which means this, is our team tromped downfield, he ran downfield with them. If one of the superstars broke away and was doing a run for the touchdown, an 80-yard run, he sprinted side by side with him. This 260-pound man with an 80-pound camera on his hand. In football, we may judge a running back by how many rushing yards he might have in a game. And if he had maybe 100 rushing yards, maybe 150 rushing yards, 2-3 touchdowns under his belt, that was probably considered a good game. My father had no less than 800 rushing yards per game because offense or defense, back and forth, you know. And some would say that my father was doing this so we could document these games for future viewing. True. But what he was really doing was documenting the valor that was being captured that can never, ever be replaced. It can't be remembered well enough than it can be on film. And someone once told me, it wasn't my father, but someone once told me that when you take a picture today, that picture, when you go click, is kind of worthless. But 30 years from now, that picture's priceless. Can't be purchased. It can't be bought. It can't be replaced. And if you didn't do it, you can't ever find it. And so my father documented Swain High. So here we are, 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, these kids of the day can go back and say, see, I really was a superstar. I really did have valor. It really happened for me. And that's what I think is being most represented tonight about Dr. John Mattox, my father, was the fact that he could document these games. But I want each and every one of you to know, much like many of the fans of Swain County, when he would take a Swain High football athlete or any of our genre of sports off into privacy, this is what he would whisper in their ear. He would say, son or girl, you are great. Now get out there and destroy them. That was what he would whisper in their arms. Make your parents proud. Second place is not what you want. You need to win, and you need to win now. And you know what? I'm going to film you doing it so you can see it for the rest of your life. That's all for me, folks. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to represent what my dad felt.